My name is Cindy Morris, and I'm the Vice President of Development and Community Engagement at ASA. And welcome to our ASA Live program today. Thank you so much for joining us. We are really excited. This is going to be a really important program today. And what we really want you to do today is something different that we don't usually say to you. We always say, share these. So let me be clear. We want you to share this. But today, we don't want you to share this with your typical friends and colleagues in the aging fields. Where we want you to take this today is to your friends and colleagues who are first responders, who are police officers, who are firefighters, and who are EMTs, who are working in the healthcare, in the emergency rooms. Today is a really special program. And what we are hoping is that this program is going to reach far beyond the ASA audience of aging and get out there to our first responders who have just been a light and a special, meaningful people to so many of us through this past year and a half of this pandemic. But we also want to recognize that there is a true, genuine need around some training for them. And we're going to be talking today about that. Last year, a woman named Karen Garner was walking home from Walmart. Employees had stopped her because she had tried to shoplift $13 of merchandise. The situation was the police officer stopped her as she was walking home. With little conversation, he seemed to take the woman to the ground, ended up shoving her against his police car, and she ended up with a fractured arm and a dislocated shoulder. This 73-year-old woman had dementia, and what we now surmise is that she probably didn't even realize that she was actually shoplifting. This made international news last month when a video of this was released. Many police departments across Colorado, which is the state where this took place, are now seeking trainings about how to better work with people with dementia. And while we are truly sad this happened, we know this is a wake-up call to help all first responders receive the awareness and the training around what it means to work with the people in their communities who are facing a life with dementia and recognize that. Today, I am joined by Sandy Markwood, who is one of the co-chairs of Dementia Friendly America, and Bonnie Wattles, who is the Executive Director of HFC. Thank you both for joining us today. Before we want to start to talk about how to identify dementia and how first responders can respond to that, what I really want to talk about first is the lack of awareness around Alzheimer's and dementia and the effect of that. Bonnie, can you talk to that for a minute? We know there is a lot of shame, there is a lot of secrecy, there is a lot of stigma around this. How does that affect someone, and how does that affect the community and then the caregivers in the community?
Right. Well, thank you for inviting me to be here today. And so, as you said, there's so much shame, secrecy, and stigma around Alzheimer's. This is a disease that affects over 6 million Americans. It is the 6th leading cause of death in the US. But recent estimates actually put it at 3rd behind heart disease and cancer, both of which are household names, but yet we think of Alzheimer's as a very old person's disease, but it actually kills more people than prostate cancer and breast cancer combined. And so it's really a disease that's right out in the open. It's in our families, as we can see, it's in our stores, it's in our communities. And we really, I applaud you for today to help raise the conversation and elevate the discussion around it. It's worth mentioning that women are disproportionately affected by Alzheimer's. 2/3 of Americans with Alzheimer's are women. Older African Americans are 2 times as likely to have Alzheimer's. as well as older Latinos are 1.5 times as likely to have it versus older white men. But what people don't know is that as many as 1 in 3 cases are preventable through lifestyle interventions, but the vast majority of Americans surveyed really have no idea what to do to reduce their risk or prevent cognitive decline. As baby boomers age, we're really on track to reach 13.8 million cases by 2050. So it really underscores the need for us to improve brain health literacy in our communities, in our families, amongst first responders, with our physicians. And there's so many actions people can be taking to reduce the risk, and also to recognize, once we have it elevated to the national conversation, we'll be able to recognize that, when somebody has dementia, and how to interact with them in a productive way. And I don't know why there's so much secrecy around it or stigma. I think it's because, it's tied to memories is what makes you, right? It's your whole life. And so, at least in our, amongst our caregivers, there's so many family members don't want their other family members to talk about it when it happens to them. And so that's why it's just not out in the open.
Yeah, we deal with mental health issues in my family, and I know, right? And so when you talk about brain health in that way, we talk all the time in my family about the fact that a brain health issue is no different than any other organ in your body being affected.
Right.
And so it's interesting to hear those statistics that you were giving, because I'm not sure that we recognize that on a daily basis. So let's actually talk about that as we move on. Sandy, what are the signs of dementia? Right, as I'm in the community, I think it's sometimes easy to recognize some of the physical ailments that somebody may have. Right, as if I was that police officer, I might be able to tell if somebody had a physical ailment. Sometimes, not always. But how do I recognize dementia? How as a police officer or a first responder, can I know what to look for?
Well, there are a number of different things to look for. But before we go into that, I just wanted to say that first, it's important to know that there are many different causes and types of dementia. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia and accounts for 60 to 80% of the cases. But there are other types of dementia, including dementia with Lewy bodies, frontotemporal lobal, and also vascular. And there are similarities between these types of dementias, but there are also differences. That being said, most of the common signs that someone may have dementia include forgetfulness that impacts someone's everyday life, general confusion, decreased judgment or insight, not knowing what day, month, or season it is, getting lost in familiar places and not knowing how to get home, or difficulty with language or communication. And age, as Bonnie pointed out, can also be a factor, but it's not the sole factor. So some people who have dementia may also show changes in personality or behavior. There may be movement symptoms, stiffness, shuffling walk, perhaps. And there also can be a lack of facial expression. People with dementia can also have difficulty speaking, writing, or comprehending information. Some people have speech and language difficulties because of where the dementia originates in their brain. So there are lots of symptoms and signs, and it's really important that not only law enforcement officers, but really everyone in the community recognizes those.
Right, absolutely. Because even in this situation, right, this may have been recognized by an employee at the Walmart before it even got to that point. But because I think that's about the de-escalation moment, right, where we have the option to escalate or de-escalate in that. And I think as I read about this horrifying incident, the thing that spoke to me was the need for training around this and how to proactively identify and help people with dementia that doesn't feel scary, doesn't overwhelm, and doesn't escalate, right? So we're in that moment. How does anybody, whether it's the first responder or the community member, how does somebody de-escalate that situation?
Well, Bonnie, if you don't mind, I'll just jump in and please.
Jump right in.
I think, if you're in a situation that is escalating, if you're a police officer, approach a person from the front, so that they can see you. They know you're coming. Don't try to startle them. If you're a police officer, identify yourself and explain why you're there, approaching the person, and say that you're there to help them. Maintain good eye contact. If you're, again, a police officer or anybody, take off your sunglasses, and if you can, take off a hat so the person can really see your face. And then speak slowly and in a non-threatening manner. Don't speak loudly. So oftentimes with older adults, sometimes we feel as if they have hearing problems, and so people speak at a louder tone. But that can be perceived as being angry at somebody and won't have a good consequence. Use short words. If you're asking questions, ask yes or no questions rather than complicated ones. And ask one question at a time and give the person time to respond to that question. And instead of speaking, sometimes using nonverbal cues, to ask somebody to point to something versus asking them to speak. And maintaining, I think what's really important is maintaining a calm environment. It's recognizing that chaos is very agitating to people who have dementia. If you're a police officer and you're in a situation with someone you believe who has dementia, go to a quiet place if that's possible. Turn off your radio, or at least turn it down. Don't use a siren. Just try to make the environment as calm as possible. Avoid constraints at all costs, because that just triggers agitation and can escalate a situation, which is exactly what you don't want to do. Avoid confrontation. And if you feel that you are not really in a situation where you can communicate, try to find somebody who can. But if you do that, make sure that only one person is speaking to the person that you believe has dementia at a time, so that you can limit the confusion.
That's a really, the thing I heard you say kind of over and over is keep it calm, keep it steady almost, right? Remove the glasses, remove the hat, make somebody feel as comfortable and secure as possible in this, especially if they don't know you, right? So that they can at least feel safe with you, right? And I think that would be true whether you're a police officer in this moment, whether you are the EMT in this moment, whether you are the firefighter in this moment, if there is a car accident, if there's, right, because there's any number of incidents where the first responder may be called in, and we want to make sure that we calm the moment down first and then figure out the solution, is what I think I'm hearing you say. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this isn't, oh, go ahead, Bonnie.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I would just add, I really think it's so important to recognize that people with dementia often are confused and are agitated or fearful or have anxiety. So recognizing that and assuring them, that they're there to help and asking questions. I mean, I think in that episode with Karen Garner, I just didn't hear a lot of questions being asked. She kept saying, I'm going home. Well, where is home, right? Why are you going home? Just to create that level of trust and that they are, there to really help.
Right. Yeah. And also that might even help you to figure out who the helper is that they need, right? To get home, right? Because that might also be a part of that puzzle that needs to get figured out. So this isn't a full training. We clearly do not have time for that today. We wish we did. What I want to be able to give everybody, though, is that information of how they can set up a training. So who do we reach out to? If there are individual departments that want to set up a training, who are the resources they can go to in their communities that they can do that with?
Well, again, I'm happy to jump into that, because there really are so many great resources out there. And if you're in a local police department, fire department, or EMT, or as you said, any community-based organization, and you want training, go to your local Alzheimer's Association or your local area agency on aging, and they'll be able to connect you to really targeted training that'll help you gain sensitivity and also how to respond to people who have dementia. Dementia Friendly America has a network of dementia-friendly communities across the country where you're doing outreach and training and would love to partner with law enforcement. In fact, so many of them are already. So many of the dementia-friendly communities have engaged law enforcement and the public safety sector in their local work. And if you go to dfamerica.org, there are links to law enforcement and first responder training. And also the International Association of Chiefs of Police also has training available. So training shouldn't be an issue. It's out there, and there are resources at the community level after you get that training that you can refer to for supports for people who are living with dementia. And also, as you pointed out, they're important care partners.
Right. Okay, so this really all goes, I mean, every bit of this, as we get more and more people trained, as we have conversations like this, as people share this. I started off today saying, we want you to take this and we want you to share it. Share it with your friends, share it with your colleagues, share it with the person who you bump into every once in a while when you're getting coffee. This is where we want to get this message out. We put this on social media for a reason. This is not a webinar for a reason here. This goes to the fact that we want to normalize the conversation around dementia. Bonnie, what is the value of that on an individual and community level?
Certainly. Well, on the community level, excuse me, we hope to eliminate situations that happen with care and garner, so people are equipped to recognize, when someone has Alzheimer's or related dementia, and help them manage those encounters as calmly and as productively as possible. Sorry. At the individual level, really just hoping that generating these conversations and open dialogue will lead to greater awareness about cognitive decline, getting people in earlier for earlier diagnosis. And while there's no disease modifying treatment available yet, and there's no cure yet, there are so many things people can be doing to reduce their risk and slow the decline. And that we also just want to draw more attention to living a brain healthy life. We know how to take care of our heart, but we don't even think that we can take care of our brains, and we really can. And so there are a lot of lifestyle interventions that are easy to implement and that you can do to help protect your brain.
Okay, so I always want to end every ASA Live with the exact same question, because ultimately I'm just facilitating these, and you all are the experts. And so I want to know, what is it that you want people to know? What is the most important thing for a first responder or a community member to know? What is that one piece of advice that you want to leave us with? Sandy, we'll start with you. We'll end with Bonnie. What is that one thing you want to make sure we hear today?
I think it's the statistics that you started with. 1 out of 10 people over the age of 65 has dementia, and that number rises to over 50% for people over 85. 80% of people living with dementia are living in the community. So it is highly likely that law enforcement will encounter people living with dementia, and they need to know how to safely respond to those situations, and to respond, unlike what happened to Karen Gardner, in a humane way.
Okay, thank you. And Bonnie, what's your final piece of advice here?
Great. I'll just leave with what the Alzheimer's Association recommends. Their acronym is TALK tactics when dealing with somebody with dementia. And that's take it slow, ask simple questions, limit the reality checks, and keep eye contact. So just a simple acronym just to tell you, how to manage somebody if you encounter it.
I love that. Let's repeat that. 1 in 10 people over 65 are facing dementia right now. over 80% of people over 85. Is that what I just heard you say?
Over 50% of people over 85 will get dementia, and then 80% of people living with dementia are living in the community.
In the community, they are not in memory loss centers. They are not They are living in the community at home. So let's think about that, and then let's take that and say, okay, we know we're going to be working with these people. We know we are going to be encountering them. How do we do that? We talk to them. We talk calmly. Let's do that again, Bonnie. I'm so terrible.
Take it slow.
Take it slow. Ask
questions. Limit reality checks and keep eye contact.
Keep eye contact. So let's, I think those are great. That's really great. And I think I love putting those together because I think it really frames it. Ladies, thank you so much for doing this with us. As always, we are so grateful to you for your support at ASA and for all of your thought leadership and bringing it out to everybody. Again, while everything we do is always for our members and our community, today we want our members and our community to take this and share it. And I cannot say that enough, because this does not get to the community unless we take it to the community. So I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. We all have friends and family who are first responders. Tag them, share this with them. Let's get this out to them, because we can prevent another incident like what happened by sharing this with them. And while we know that this was probably, this is never something that anybody would want to do to somebody, so we can help prevent it. And this is an easy thing to prevent. So please, let's get this out there. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. Hope it is as sunny where you are as it is where I am today, because we deserve it after the rainstorm we had yesterday. I hope you are enjoying it. For every mother, grandmother, aunt, or somebody who has given a lot of love to you, may you enjoy your Mother's Day this Sunday. It is a good day to remember that there are people giving you love out there. So enjoy that as well, everybody, and have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Cindy.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.